Alrighty. Welcome everybody to Learn to Defend Cyber. My name is Joseph, and today we're going to be working on Try Hack Me Day 10 of Advent of Cyber. It looks like today we've got phishing, very special treat. It looks like we are going to be trying to establish a reverse shell. And really quick, for anybody who doesn't know, a reverse shell is essentially a command prompt that is going to be calling out from the infected device to its controller. It's a very oversimplified way of putting it, but I'm sure we will explain a little bit more in detail what's happening as we go through this room. So let's go ahead and pivot over. Give this a few seconds for people to trickle on in. I know it is just starting. Alright. We will pivot over. Oh, does not look like I have the window chosen quite yet. What's going on, Brent? How's it going, Jerry? There we go. Fix that. Awesome. Alright. So, phishing. He had a brain full of macros, and he had shells in his soul. So, macros. Sounds like we're going to be working with Office documents. That's probably what we're going to be using to establish our reverse shell. Macros are essentially just code that run in the background. They're invisible to the user, or they're supposed to be invisible to the user. You can make them very visible if you want, but macro documents, typically Office documents, right? Let's go ahead and see what we're doing here. Mayor Malware had just one Sockmas wish. The sock organizer would fall for this fish. Well, on top of this, he wanted as well, wants the email open to gain a reverse shell. So yeah, it sounds like we're definitely pushing the reverse shell with a macro-enabled Office document. As of recording, I'm going to have to fact check this, but macro documents are disabled by default. They used to be enabled by default. And now, Microsoft saw enough people getting compromised because of them. You know, it's really easy to attach a macro-enabled document to an email and just send it, and people open it and code runs, and everything bad happens that you don't want to happen. It ended up being recommended that you disable it, and then eventually they just disabled it by default. Now you have to go out of your way to enable it. Brent B saying a really cool guy did the video today, and Rhonda's here. What's going on, Rhonda? Yeah, it does look like a pretty cool guy did the video today. You can see his face taking up like 80% of the screen. A joke, obviously. It's a pretty good video. I'll have to actually go and watch it. I say it's a pretty good video, but I just trust that Jerry did good work. So if it's bad, don't blame me yet. I haven't watched it quite yet. So, sounds like our goal is to make a macro document that is going to make a reverse shell. I think we're playing as Mayor Malware today. And we're going to be, I suppose, sending it off through email. So, Marta Mayware is surprised that her system was compromised even after following tight security, but McSkitty thinks she traced the attacker and how he got in. It's none other than the Mayor Malware who got into the system. This time, the mayor used phishing to get to his victim. So phishing, you may have heard this even if you're brand spanking new to the industry. Phishing is essentially just sending messages in attempts to either pretend to be someone they can trust, someone that is going to be of importance, or that you're trying to give them something, and really what you're doing is trying to dupe them into either giving over their creds or downloading malicious documents, malicious files, and establishing shells, or using them to steal crypto, or using them to steal credentials. There's many different reasons to phish. And there are many phishing forms. You've got quishing, which is the newest one, QR code phishing. You've got vishing over the phone, SMS phishing, which comes through text message. You name it, somebody has made a brand name phishing name for it. So we're going to talk about how phishing attacks work, how macros and documents can be used, and then we're going to carry out an actual phishing attack. So phishing attack, as we kind of explain, it exploits the human element of companies. So, you know, we spend millions of dollars on a bunch of blocks of wires with blinking LEDs on them and service subscriptions to keep those blinking LEDs doing what they're supposed to do. But there's still the human element that many people like to neglect, and honestly, it's the most important element. There are studies out there, research that shows that phishing is, I want to say 91% of the time, it's the initial vector of compromise. So that means of the attacks that are reported, obviously unreported attacks may have a different statistic. We don't know. We don't have them reported, right? Of the attacks that are reported, 91% of them could have been stopped with proper end-user training. And even with enough end-user training, with AI being implemented, you may have a really well-crafted phishing document, and even somebody who really knows how to investigate phishing emails can still get popped. It's not something that you ever want to point and laugh at an end user for. You want to encourage them and say, hey, you know what happens to the best of us? Let's talk about things we could have seen that would have helped us stop this. Or if it was something really well put together and they still fell for it, and you look at it and you're like, yeah, I would have fell for that too, at least they don't feel dumb, right? It's just 20 minutes of Jerry air guitaring to the midnight. I love it. So as we talked about before, macros, right? Macros are automated actions in Microsoft Office documents. These macros run code in the background, typically not visible to the user. And let's go over the attack plan. I did already start the attack box, and I hit the start machine button down here. That looks like it spun up our mail server. So it looks like we're going to be creating the document with the macro. We're going to establish a listening, or we're going to establish listening. I don't know if we're going to be doing that through Netcat or whatever, but we're going to listen for the reverse shell to come back in. And then we're going to email the document off, wait for them to use it, and then actions on objective from there, right? We're on the device. We've got probably some form of permissions. Time to crawl around and figure out what they want us to do from there. So let's go ahead, and looks like we're using Metasploit. So MSF console, Metasploit's frameworks. That is what we're going to be using to make this payload. Metasploit is a tool. It's a really useful tool. It has a lot of pre-cooked modules to make malware, to kind of do auto-pwns, so to speak. It's basically a bundle of pre-built tools that you can utilize, and it makes doing things a lot easier. So we're going to go and open the terminal here. Let me go ahead and make this bigger. Now, blow up the text size a little bit. Oh, that just blew up everything. That's fine. For sake of... For some reason, on these terminals, when you do the Control Plus, it doesn't just make the text bigger, it also makes the terminal bigger. So we're going to go ahead and type in MSF console, and it will give us a nice little GUI introduction to Metasploit and while it loads up. JMod in the house saying he doesn't have to crank start his... sorry, I got distracted by another comment that came in. JMod saying he doesn't have to crank start his PC anymore. He doesn't have a Model A PC anymore. Watching, can't hear. Works F-lot at the moment. I'm assuming that Jerry's trying to say that he's working at the moment. So, no big deal, that's fine. Audio only works. That means you just get to see me yammer and don't get to hear any of it. So you always get a cool little GUI thing when Metasploit starts up, and it looks like we got it loaded. So let's see what they want us to do. Looks like we're going to be setting the payload to Windows Meterpreter Reverse TCP. So take that comment, set payload, Windows Meterpreter. Oh boy. Oh. What just happened there? Hold on. Let's boot that up again. I think I started typing when it wasn't ready. So we'll go ahead and read ahead a little bit so we can see what we're going to be doing. We're going to be using TCP protocol. That is one of your two main networking protocols for our reverse shell. And we're going to be using it over the Office Word macro, as we talked about earlier. We want to set the listening host, that's what lhost stands for, to our IP address. Now, when you spin up your machine, this should auto-populate if you're following along trying to complete this challenge. This should auto-populate to the attack box, your given's IP address. If it doesn't for whatever reason, you can scroll all the way to the top and you can see our attack box IP address up here. Let's go back down to where we were. I scrolled a little bit past it. And then we're going to set the listening port to 888848. And then it looks like we're going to use show options if we need to see the configuration options for whatever reason. And then you type exploit to generate the macro and embed it into a document. So it looks like it's up now. So let's start at step 1 right here. Set payload. Windows Interpreter Reverse TCP. Make sure we got that right. Nope. Sorry. Reverse TCP. Alright, so we've got the payload set, and we're going to use exploit multi-file format Office Word macro. For sake of brevity, we can go ahead and copy paste it so I don't make the mistake that I just did. Alright, so we can see that we have this exploit set up and we're ready to go. Now we just got to put in those values that we were told to put in. So we're going to do set lhost to be our IP address. So this is a reverse shell, right? You want the listening host, whoever's listening for this connection, to be your device or whatever device you're using as your command and control. If you don't want it to be your specific device, you would have it set up to go to whatever other device you have control of, so that you would get that connection and be able to start doing whatever it is you're going to do once you have that shell. So we'll paste that in. Okay, and we'll just do set L port to 8888. And we can go ahead and do it anyways to make sure we got everything in right. Show options. This just shows you every option that we have. So it will tell you what is required. And then it will give you the different options we have here. We have exit functions, which we don't need to set. We have our lhost, which we set ourselves, our lport, which we set ourselves. You can see it's all required. And it looks like we are good to just go ahead and type exploit and wait while that file cooks up. Premature metasploitation. Absolutely, Brent. Oh, what's going on, Nick? Welcome. Driving. Better be keeping those eyes on the road. Alright, we got our msf.docm, that is the extension for the macro-enabled doc file. In our root.ms4 local msf.com, when you go to try and find the file, anytime you have a directory that starts with that dot, it's going to be hidden, so we got to keep that in mind when we try and find this file later. And we can type exit to go ahead and exit. So this is just going over everything that we went over before. All the actions we just took. And it looks like they actually bring up Visual Basic and open this macro-enabled document to kind of look at what's going on in here. We have auto-open. Looks right here, sub auto-open. Triggers the macro upon opening the file. You have execute for Windows code, so this is going to be executing the payload Looks like we are grabbing it from a temp folder, getting whatever name plus the .exe. So we have a executable, portable executable here, and then Cree object wscript shell. So that is going to be our shell that is actually beaconing out to us. And it looks like it gets some base 64 code from our directory down here, and it's going to decode it and replace it in that command. So let's see, doesn't have MS Office. I'm just reading over to make sure I didn't miss anything for us. Comments field is shown in the screenshot below. It is close to 100,000 characters in our case, so that's our actual command. If you copy and save it to a text file, you convert it into its original executable format using base64 as shown below, and you can see the size of our payload here. It attempts to connect to 10.9.18.120, which is probably the IP address that they were using when they did this. IP addresses are dynamically assigned, at least internal ones, so I'm assuming that they just did this on a different attack box. And we can see right here, this is VirusTotal. VirusTotal is a SOC analyst's best friend. It is not 100% accurate, but it is dang good for getting a good read on what something is doing if it has been uploaded and analyzed before. We can see what processes it creates, this payload.exe, what shell command it gets, or what shell command it executes, and then the different process tree. You have your file explorer, you have the payload again, and then decoded text. This is calling out to the device over the port that was specified, and then the Metasploit connection to that same information. So now it looks like we are going to be looking and start listening for the connection, because you can't get a reverse shell unless you're listening. So we're going to spin Metasploit console back up. We can clear this using the command clear, so it's nice and clean and easy to read and not confusing. And we're going to go to MSF console again, give it a moment to load. Talking about so LearnToDefendCyber, by the way, is doing a CTF on December 21st of 2024. It is going to be a meta CTF. You can find more information by joining the LearnToDefendCyber Discord. And of course, tuning into the daily cyber threat brief, Jerry talks about it a couple times. I'm sure he's going to mention it as it comes closer. Meta CTF is a great platform for doing these kinds of challenges. It's doing a lot of what we're actually working on right now. Different challenges, different tools, right? I highly recommend participating in them. I always have good fun in a Meta CTF. I'm going to end up being out on the 21st. I was going to make this announcement a little closer, but I will be out on the 21st, so the video that day will be delayed, and I will not be able to do the Meta CTF unless it runs a couple days. Brent's saying that he's glad it will be on a Saturday. The last time he did it, it was 2 hours on a Friday and could only find about 45 minutes to work on it. Wow. Yeah, talk about time constraints. So now that we are in Metasploit and it is fully loaded up, we can use the command use multi-handler to handle incoming connections. So we'll type that in. Okay. And then we're going to set our payload to that same payload we used earlier. Okay, and then same thing, right? We're kind of doing what we did earlier, but we're just, oops, I opened up my spec element. Go back down to where we were. Just a misclick, unfortunately. All right, we're gonna set our listening host to that IP. You can also get the IP at the top of your terminal here, by the way. And then set that same port that we established earlier when we made the payload. Always want to have the same port that you establish in the payload. If you don't use the same port, you're not going to get the connection. And then show options to make sure we have everything typed in correctly. We have all of the stuff it requires. We got that port, we got the process, or sorry, we got the IP, we have the port, and then we have the exit function. And then we go ahead and hit exploit. And now it should sit here and wait for that connection. So this is just a printout of everything we just did. And now we have to email the document. So this is where the phishing happens, right? Now we have to pretend to be an attacker, and there are times where, as a defender, you may want to phish your end users. It is always fun to phish your end users, but you have to do it tactfully. We're not trying to be malicious. You don't want to lure them in with anything like money. You don't want to do anything that might get you in any HR trouble. Try and keep it tactful. Don't be crazy when phishing your end users. No threats on families, no threats of like robbing them, harm, anything like that. You wanna do something that is something that you could consider to be realistic, that isn't like we have your family at gunpoint, click this or else, right? Usually you want to bait them in with the promise of you know, like, hey, company potluck, or oh, watch this video I found, you know, things that are a little more PG. Isn't the 21st land day? Oh yeah, it is, yes. Jerry's saying it is cool rooming over there. Wanted to make this one a little special. I think it's bigger than normal by a bit. I also made live stream Q1 and Q2 at 30 minutes and 60 minutes. He said those two are designed to be lower hanging and for community so everyone can get flags. So I thought streams when well underway could help newcomers. Absolutely. If it's still going and I have time to stream it, I'm absolutely going to stream it because I do love meta CTF. He's saying that he found out, Jerry's saying he found out that he has to go back to ATL on 12/20. That sucks. And return early on the 21st. Thankfully, you're only going to be gone for, you know, a few, it's you know, overnight really, it sounds like. But you'll be home in time for Christmas. So we have to sign into this, we have to sign into the web server, or the email server we spun up earlier. Let's find that IP address, unless they have it right down here for us. They do not, so we'll go to that IP address they gave us earlier. Prepare the email server. Where did they put that IP address for us? Just trying to find that IP address, sorry. Nope. Thought I found it, I did not. Oh, here we go. It's not highlighted. So this is our email server. We'll go ahead and open up Firefox to get to that email server. Firefox always takes a second on these attack boxes. Yeah, absolutely, Jerry. As I know you can't hear me right now, but if you do go back and listen to it, I did say I plan on trying to do it if it's still going when I come home on Sunday. I'm going to be doing 2 days of Try Hack Me's Advent of Cyber that day too, so it'll be a nice packed day for me. So let's go ahead and navigate to that web server. Control-Shift-V to paste in these, by the way, if you copied off of a different page. And this is where we use the credentials to log in that we were given. It looks like that we are sending we are sending the email to Marta at sockmess with an m.thm from info at sockness with an n.thm. So what we're doing here is a form of almost typo squatting. We're using this domain that is very, very close to their domain. in hopes that if they're reading fast, or maybe if they just don't read hard enough, that N looks extremely close to an M. And there are different characters you can use. Like I think the Cyrillic A, and then there's different characters like that you can use when you're doing phishing domains that look almost identical to the actual letter. So it looks like an A and an A, but they're different when read by the computer, but not to the human eye. So here is our email, info@sockmiss.thm. Go ahead and copy that, paste it in, make sure we got that I, and then grab our password, which is Mary Fishmiss, quite fitting. And we'll sign in. We're not going to save our credentials because this machine is not going to exist when we're done. And we have to write our phishing email to Marta. So marta@sockmiss.thm, and the subject line, we want to bait them in. We want to get them invested. We want them to click this email. I know, especially in a SOC, you're getting tons of emails a day. So this is where our pretexting starts. Pretexting is the any kind of text that you have before the actual click here to download, click this for XYZ. It's the story you're crafting to sell them to get them to click on this. So if I were phishing someone in a SOC, I think I would try and play on urgency. There are lots of different tactics you could take, but let's say critical alert. Let's say, so she's in the SOC, right? We have critical alert, Mimikatz, which is a password dumping tool, detected, if I could spell. Oh my gosh, sorry. Detected on server 1. So that looks like a pretty convincing handle, right? We can say Mimikatz was detected on server 1. Let's embellish a little bit. Malicious process. For sake of a CTF like this or a challenge room, it doesn't really matter what we say. I have a feeling it's going to get clicked on no matter what. But let's pretend we're writing a real phishing email here. Click here to see the detection. And now we obviously made a macro enabled Office document, so they're going to wonder why they're downloading a Word document to see the detection. But let's say, you know, hey, click here to see the printed results of the detection. So now this is where we're going to link in that file, right? So we talked about this earlier. We're going to have to add our attachment. And let's go to our root. We saw that it's saved in that hidden directory earlier, which I believe if we do Control-Shift-H, we should be able to see that hidden directory. Maybe not. Show hidden. We'll just do it the non-leet way. And we can go into that hidden directory earlier where we had our file saved, which should have been in the... I'm forgetting where it is actually. Let's go look at the earlier output. This is why you take notes, by the way. Sorry, my phone was blowing up. I had to adjust that. Where did it get saved? It got saved in the .msf4. This is why good notes are important. I'm still not seeing it for whatever reason, though. .msf4. Why is it not here? Oh, because I have to scroll. Goober move right there. Open that up. Gotta get premium for those faster attack boxes. Could probably pop those streams quicker. Maybe Joseph. Oh, sorry, I was reading back. Brandon Maverick, welcome. Happy you made it. So let's grab that file we made. We put it in our MSF4 local msf.com or docm, sorry. Local docm, open it up. So we have it attached, and let's send it off. Now we come back over here and we wait. Make sure we did everything right over here. If everything was done right, we should see a connection. Oh, there it is. There is our reverse shell. We're in. This is where you know the black hoodie would go up, and your actions on objective would start. So our goal here, because this is a CTF, is to find the flag.txt file. That is on the administrator desktop, and they just give it to us right there. CD to the desktop. Don't get confused. I think you have to use forward slashes, even though we are probably remoted into a Windows machine. So we're on that, and we can go ahead and use ls, and we see our flag. Use the cat command, and there is our flag. THM Fishing Christmas. Copy that. Oh, I had a Control-Shift-C, right, because I'm on the attack box. And then we'll just go ahead and paste it. And that is day 10. If you liked that, check out the phishing module. As always, TryHackMe tries to point you to more resources. A few tools. Obviously, we talked about Metasploit. There's SET, or Social Engineering Toolkit by David Kennedy. Also a great tool for crafting phishing emails. Pretty easy module for today. Jerry is sitting here telling me how to do it. Control H. Sorry, he must be a little behind. I'm not sure. So that's it. I would love to take any kinds of questions if we have any. But it was a pretty simple room today. We talked about the process of crafting a phishing email. We talked about what reverse shells were. And then we saw that once you have the shell established, you can just walk around. I mean, I'm sure there's other stuff we can do here. We can CD back down if we wanted to. So to CD down, you just do a double dot. And we can see what we have here. We got your typical user folder things. I mean, you can go to the downloads if you wanted to. You just walk around like you own the place. You can see it's just the desktop. Nothing important, nothing interesting there. Yeah, so that's it. That is it for day 10. Tomorrow will be day 11. Same time, 5 o'clock. Would love to see y'all there. I'm trying to wait around to see if any questions come. I'll pivot over to this scene so we can go ahead and not be blinded by that that TryHackMe site right there. Is a key card for Side Quest 3 in there? Maybe. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to do anything side quest related on stream. The first day I did kind of dig into the side quest, not knowing that was a rule. Thankfully, I made like 0 progress because the side quests are notoriously hard. Once you're on the box, though, hey, you've got a reverse shell. Stabilize it and start walking around. See what you find. I think they usually like to drop some kind of hint if there is a side quest involved. Like a couple days ago, they dropped a little bit of a hint saying, hey, you know, we closed all the ports except for the unneeded ones, and then you did like an end map and you saw some stuff going on. But I have no idea if the side quest for day 3 or part 3 of the side quest is on this. Is that a chat box? I would love to ask y'all while y'all are still here. Is that chat box nice and legible? Is it able to be read easily from y'all? It looks fine on my view. Brent says that. Alright, awesome. It is legible. Love it. Brent says that day 3 side quest, or the part 3 of the side quest, is somewhere in 9 through 12. Well, it doesn't look like it's in 9 or 10, so maybe 11 or 12. We'll see tomorrow or the next day. They do like to drop the hints, right? Or they could those hints could be complete red herrings. Awesome. I love to hear it. Yeah, the scene that I have, like the little retro pixel thing, it has like custom CSS sprinkled throughout it. And I was trying to figure out what was going on with the chat box yesterday, and when I opened the custom CSS, it was just a hot mess. So I disabled it, and we're back to like OBS defaults, and that's why it's not like clipping halfway through and only half legible. I don't know. It was a mess yesterday, but I got it figured out. It looks good to me, and y'all are saying it can be read, so that's awesome. Brandon Maverick says, thanks, Joseph. I'll try and get here earlier tomorrow. Loving the beard, by the way. Hey, get here when you get here. I do go live at 5, so it's hard for a lot of people to make it. It is right after work. That's most time people are driving, or they're starting dinner, or doing whatever. I just thank you for coming in at all. I appreciate it. Loving the beard. I'm trying. People always made fun of me for not having a beard. Now they're making fun of me for having a beard. It's a good time, though. It's all good fun. Rhonda says it looks good. Awesome. All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for the day. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see y'all tomorrow. I very much appreciate y'all tuning in. See you for day